Classic, the network of the award-winning documentary series Sports Century. To get ESPN Classic, call 1-800-CLASSIC. That's not hard, is it?
Up next, it's Monday Night Baseball on Game of the Night.
Hi, I'm Bob Stevens, and welcome to ESPN Classic's Game of the Night. Tonight, we present Game 4 of the 1971 World Series between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Baltimore Orioles. Now, everyone knew that the Pirates' Roberto Clemente was a great player, but it wasn't until the 71 World Series, in front of a record number of television viewers, that he was finally fully appreciated. The 37-year-old right fielder hit in all 7 games, batted .414 with 12 hits, 2 homers, and 4 RBI. Unfortunately, Clemente's life was cut short when he was killed in a plane crash while delivering relief supplies to earthquake-ravaged Nicaragua. Clemente was inducted into the Hall of Fame with the waiting period waived in 1973. Sit back and let the memories flow as ESPN Classic presents Game 4 of the 1971 World Series between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Baltimore Orioles.
This is the Golden Triangle of Pittsburgh, and there's a light on tonight. The 4th time in the history of the city of Pittsburgh, as all the office buildings have their lights on to celebrate the first night game in the history of the World Series. Here on the banks of the Monongahela, the Alleghenies, they join to form the Ohio River. And you're moving now into one of the most beautiful new parks in baseball, Three River Stadium. Yes, sir. Welcome to Three River Stadium, as NBC Sports, a service of NBC News, presents Game 4 of the 1971 World Series. The American League champions, the Baltimore Orioles, versus the National League champions, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Hi, everybody. I'm Curt Gowdy of NBC Sports. This is Bob Prince, the broadcaster of the Pittsburgh Pirates, and my NBC Game of the Week partner, Tony Kubek, will be roaming the stands tonight with his comments. And for our first night game, we have a beautiful night. 72 degrees here. It's warm enough to, well, you don't need a sweater or top coat tonight. Not much wind. And you know, it seemed odd today to be standing around a hotel lobby in the afternoon waiting for the World Series at night. We've had 397 World Series games played before this one, all in the daytime. And here we are. And we're glad you could be with us, all of us at NBC, and you fans not only across America, but around the world for this historic event. Now, let's move over here to Bob Prince of the Pirates, as they won yesterday to get back into the series. Bob, you've been with the Pirates a long time. You're in their clubhouse after the game yesterday and today. What's the feeling of the Pirate team now?
Well, Curt, after 2 crushing defeats at the hands of the Baltimore Orioles, and of course they were really crushed in Game 2, they felt they turned the momentum of the Baltimore club around a little bit and gained some of their own. They picked up a lot of confidence, and the result is that they're raring to go in this game tonight.
And, of course, the Orioles, well, they seem to win graciously and they lose graciously. Not much to say. They had a 16-game winning streak snap. And in this ballpark, you're going to see here tonight the largest crowd in the history of Pittsburgh baseball.
Yes, standing room only. Only 1,000 seats went on sale at 6 o'clock, and they were gobbled up real quick.
The Pirates have played well at home. They led the National League in home victories with the artificial turf. How about the lighting here, Bob?
That might be a bit of a problem to the center fielder, particularly for Baltimore. They're not used to it. It's a different angle on the lights, and it could cause him some trouble on balls that are lined right directly at the center fielder.
And we've had a couple of changes. Right-hander Paul Blair goes to the outfield to start in place of Buford tonight for Baltimore. A right-handed hitting catcher, Etchebarren, will be behind the plate. Danny Murtaugh has Hebner and Oliver, left-handed batters, in his lineup to try and get as many lefties as possible. Let's take a look now at the starting pitchers for tonight's game. And right now you're looking at the Baltimore right-hander, Pat Dobson. He was acquired in an off-season trade last winter from San Diego to strengthen the Baltimore depth. And strengthen them he did as he became a 20-game winner. Baltimore became the 2nd team in the history of Major League Baseball to come up with 4 20-game winners. Pat Dobson for Baltimore. From New Boston, Texas, James Luke Walker. Luke Walker won 10 games and lost 8. He has not pitched since September 22nd. Dobson has not started a game since September 24th. The two of them might be question marks tonight.
Yes, that's very possible. One thing, Chris, I would say this, Curt, they don't like to try to catch this fellow because he moves the ball all over the plate. If he can get it over, he's very tough to whip, and you might see some pop-ups and ground balls tonight.
1971 World Series between the Pittsburgh Pirates and Baltimore Orioles on ESPN Classic.
The first night game in World Series history. One of the men responsible, the Commissioner of Baseball, Bowie Kuhn. Mr. Commissioner, one of the most exciting highlights in baseball history today.
It is a historic first, really, Tony. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it because I think it's going to produce, my prediction is it will produce the greatest television audience for a sports event in the history of sports. I look for over 60 million Americans to be tuned in. I think they're out there now. And we have over 1,000 people from the various sports media here covering the game. There's been nothing like that in the history of sports. It's an enormous event.
What about plans or future plans for World Series play?
Well, we're so satisfied that this single night game is the right thing to do, that next year we're going to have the 3 weekday games on at night, so that you'll have Saturday and Sunday day, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night. And that way the fans of America, the people who work, the kids in school can see the whole thing if they want to.
Mr. Commissioner, a packed house here tonight. What about, of course, this ball game tonight? And I'm going to ask you for a prediction.
Well, I don't make predictions in the World Series or almost any other time, but I understand you did, incidentally. I understand you picked the Pirates in 7.
Well, I just feel that the Baltimore Orioles team is going to have to start scoring some runs because Pirates look like they're going to start hitting the ball around.
Well, the Pirates can hit, and Baltimore has got tremendous pitching. As commissioner, I usually take the position I'll be happy to see 7 games and settle for whoever wins in those 7.
Bowie Kuhn, Mr. Commissioner, thank you so much.
Thank you, Tony.
Let's go back upstairs.
All right, we're going to have the starting lineups announced to you very shortly. We have been entertained here before the game by the Pittsburgh University Band, and now let's meet both teams.
Game of the 1971 World Series. Here are the official lineups, and let's have a big Pittsburgh welcome as they're introduced. First, the American League champions, the Baltimore Orioles. Here is the manager of the Orioles, number 4, Earl Weaver. Batting first and playing center field, number 6, Paul Blair. Batting second. Batting second and playing shortstop, number 7, Mark Belanger. Batting third and playing left field, number 14, Merv Rettenmund. Batting fourth and playing right field, number 20, Frank Robinson. Batting fifth and playing third base, number 5, Brooks Robinson. Batting sixth and playing first base, number 26, Boog Howell. Batting seventh and playing second base, number 15, Dave Johnson. Batting eighth and catching, number 8, Andy Etchebarren. Batting ninth and pitching, number 37, Pat Dobson, who is warming up in the bullpen. And here are the remaining players and coaches of the Baltimore Orioles. Don Buford, Mike Cuellar, Clay Dalrymple, Jerry DeVenon, Tom Dukes, Dick Hall, Elrod Hendricks, Grant Jackson, Dave Leonard, Kurt Moten, Dave McNally, Jim Palmer, Pete Rickert, Chico Simone, Tom Chopay, Eddie Watt, and coaches Jim Fry, Billy Hunter, and George Stoller. Now for the National League champions, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Here's the manager of the Pirates, number 20, Danny Murtaugh. Batting first and playing second base, number 30, Dave Cash. Batting second and playing third base, number 20, Richie Hefner. Batting third, playing right field, number 21, Roberto Clemente. Batting fourth, playing left field, number 8, Willie Stargell. Batting fifth and playing center field, number 16, Al Oliver. Batting sixth and playing first base, number 7, Bob Robertson. Batting seventh and catching, number 35, Manny Sanguillen. Batting eighth and playing shortstop, number 2, Jack Hernandez. Batting ninth and pitching, number 23, Luke Walker, who is warming up in the bullpen. And here are the remaining players and coaches of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Gene Alley, Steve Blass, Nelson Briles, Gene Clines, Vic Davalillo, Doc Ellis, Dave Justy, Bob Johnson, Bruce Keeson, Milt May, Bill Mazeroski, Bob Miller, Bob Moose, Jose Pagan, Charlie Sands, and Bob Veal, and coaches Don Leppard, Frank Osiak, Don Osborne, Dave Ricketts, and Bill Verdon. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem, which will be sung by Mildred Miller, Metropolitan Opera star.
We had the meeting at home plate, and Earl Weaver is back on the scene. He let the Baltimore coach, George Stoller, take the lineup out one day after the Orioles had been in a losing streak. The Orioles won 16 in a row, so Weaver let his coach go out every day, but they lost yesterday, so Weaver, number 4 now, is back out with a lineup card. And now the ceremonial first pitch of Game 4, and the honor goes to one of the all-time greats of the National League, Stan Musial, a Hall of Famer, 7-time National League batting champ, 3,630 hits in his career and a lifetime batting average of .331. That's his wife alongside, Lillian Musial. And on Stan's left, Bing Crosby, one of the owners of the Pirates, along with Mr. John Galbraith, the principal owner. And, of course, right here from Pennsylvania, Stan Musial is from Donora, Pennsylvania, where he was born and reared. There's Bing. So the fourth game of the 1971 World Series being brought to you from Pittsburgh as the Baltimore Orioles meet the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Used to be played exclusively in the daytime, but television in the 1971 World Series changed all that. Game 4 was the first night game in series history. It drew a record 60 million television viewers and prompted Baseball Commissioner Bowie Kuhn to schedule all the weekday games at night beginning the following year. We now return to Game 4 of the 1971 World Series between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Baltimore Orioles on ESPN Classic.
There are 6 umpires assigned to World Series games. Tonight behind the plate, Ed Bargo, who lives in Butler, Pennsylvania, by the way, about 30 miles from Pittsburgh. Jim Odom working at first base. John Kibler at second base. Nestor Shylock at third base. Umpiring the left field line will be Ed Sudol, and the right field line will be handled by John Rice, who was born in Homestead, Pennsylvania, a suburb of Pittsburgh. There go the Pirates on the field. Now we'll take a look at the electronic scoreboard here and set them up defensively for you. Stargell's in left field for Pittsburgh. Oliver's in center field. Clemente right field. Third base is Hebner. Shortstop will be Hernandez. The second baseman is Cash. The first baseman is Robertson. Sanguillen is the Pittsburgh catcher. And Luke Walker will be starting tonight for the Pirates. That's Luke Walker warming up. And to tell you about Luke and take you along with a detailed play-by-play action of the first half of this game, the very popular and competent broadcaster of the Pittsburgh Pirates, Mr. Bob Prince.
Thank you very much, Kurt Gowdy, and hello again, everybody. Now you see Luke Walker warming up here and in slow motion. He's right over the top, as you can see, and one of the very rare things about him, he cannot throw a ball straight. There isn't anybody on the Pirate Ball Club that likes to warm him up, including the catcher. He does not know where that ball is going to go. It can run in and away from any type of batting, and normally when he's right, you'll see a lot of pop-ups, strikeouts, and certainly an awful lot of ground balls. Now, as pointed out a little earlier, he has pitched 12 no-hitters in high school, and he attended Paris Junior College in Paris, Texas, and Texarkana Junior College. This is his 9th pro season. Began with the Boston Red Sox organization. And on the year for 1971, he won 10 and he lost 8. His last game he pitched on September the 22nd. He worked 6 innings against the Cardinals, and he helped clinch the division championship.
Bob, it'll be interesting to see if the Orioles will be taking against him. He has a history of control problems.
Yes, he definitely has that. Now, here's one of manager Earl Weaver's. Thank you, and enjoy the viewing. Paul Blair, Earl Weaver having made a bit of a switch, moving Blair, a fine outfielder, into center field. And the strike is there. They will now stop this game and give this ball to the Commissioner of Baseball, Bowie Kuhn. And that later will be then enshrined in the Hall of Fame. The Commissioner of Baseball now receiving that baseball, and that'll be enshrined in the Hall of Fame where Ken Smith presides in Cooperstown, New York. The first pitch on the first night game of the World Series, brought to you on NBC. 0-1 to Blair. Ran away from him, a ball. Blair has 1 hit in the World Series. Went in defensively the other day, picked up a base hit. I'll tell you, Kurt, when Walker has it going, he has a snake coming in at that plate.
That's what the ball players say. Very sneaky. Ball moves all the time.
The outfield around to the left for Paul Blair, who on the regular season hit 10 home runs. Ball 2, strike 2. Clemente is playing about 90 feet off the line. There you see the alignment in the infield and the outfield. Stargell to deep left. It is 340 down both lines here at Three River Stadium. 385 in the slots and 410 straight away. Ball off this synthetic turf really comes off quickly. 2 balls, 2 strikes. And he just got a piece of it, and there you saw that ball running on him.
And absolutely no wind tonight. The flag hanging limp in center field. So the breeze is not a factor right now in this game.
There you see Old Glory. 2 balls, 2 strikes to Paul Blair. Batted .262 for the regular season, and truly one of the great center fielders in baseball. Fouled away, and there you saw him hit over the ball, bouncing it foul off to the left. Luke Walker, Kurt, got off a great line a couple of years ago before he went on to win 15 games. Somebody interviewed him, and he said, "Tell my mother I'm alive and well, but not pitching in Pittsburgh." Then he went on to win 15 games. Ball 2, strike 2. And it's a base hit into the slot in left center. Oliver coming on, and so Blair continues to bat 1,000 in the series, his second hit in as many at-bats.
He hit a curveball.
Now the very fine shortstop of the Baltimore Orioles, Mark Belanger, batting 200 in the World Series. On the regular season went for .266, no homers, 35 runs batted in. Been quite a juggling in the lineup with regard to batting order. Belanger was batting 8th. Now up to the number 2 spot. Bounces off the right side. Cash, a beautiful play, and he can't make it. Cash getting over to get to the ball.
This has scored a base hit. Cash got to the ball. He was trying to shovel the ball from his glove to his shortstop. He's there. But as he got the ball out of his glove, it slipped away from him. That scored a base hit. Cash did a remarkable job getting to the ball to keep it from going through. So the Orioles have a quick threat already, top of the first inning.
So at 2 on, here is Merv Rettenmund batting at .231, 1 home run and 4 runs batted in the series. You saw flashed there on the screen his average for the year. Ball. You'll see a lot of balls pop in and out of the mitt of Manny Sanguillen tonight as long as Walker is on, and there is early activity in the Pirate bullpen. Bruce Keeson. One and 1. Eddie Vargo of Butler, Pennsylvania, does a lot of work. He's the plate umpire with the George Junior Republic, which is a school for wayward boys, and it's been a very worthwhile endeavor. Does that, of course, in the off season. 1 ball, 1 strike to Rettenmund. A bunt foul. 1 and 2, and they're trying for the base hit, obviously.
You wonder how sharp these two will be tonight with their control. Walker pitched last September 22nd. Dobson started on September 24th. That's quite a layoff.
Rettenmund being played very definitely to pull. Foul off the first base side. On this synthetic turf, as Walker retrieves the ball there, the balls roll very true. And normally, if you get a pretty good shot out over second or short, it'll go all the way to the wall. And the outfielders here run to surround the ball, not cut it off.
The Orioles play on only 1 artificial surface in the infield in the American League. That's at Comiskey Park, Chicago. But they say they like this artificial surface.
1 ball, 2 strikes. 2 on, nobody out. Top of the first and no score. Bouncer for the hole, and Hernandez flags it down, and he has no play, but he saves a run. From the hole side of shortstop, Hernandez getting it on into second.
Wide range here by Hernandez. And this ball really takes off like a jackrabbit on this hard artificial surface. Throw too late at second base for the attempted force. And now the Orioles have the bases loaded, nobody out, and their cleanup batter, Frank Robinson, up.
And Robinson, batting at .583 in the series, has 2 home runs, and both of his home runs have come with nobody aboard. But now, with the bases loaded, the Pirates will play the infield back. He's had 7 base hits and 12 at-bats. Outfield necessarily very deep and around to the left. Ball. His last 6 series games, 3 this year and 3 last, he's had 13 base hits for a 520. Fastball or a wild pitch, and the run will score as the other runners move up. We'll await a ruling here. Did the ball get away from Sanguin? The Orioles jump into the lead 1-0.
1971 World Series between the Pittsburgh Pirates and Baltimore Orioles on ESPN Classic.
That's been scored, a pass ball by the 3 official scorers, a low inside pitch that skipped off the mitt of Sanguin. It wasn't an easy chance, but the scorers figure that he should have handled it. Now they're going to put Robinson on with first base open.
Well, this started out when Paul Blair hit what appeared to be a hanging curveball for a base hit. Then Belanger picked up the base hit off the second base side of the diamond when Cash attempting to shovel the ball along over to Hernandez covering there to get the out and did not. Now here's another tough man, Brooks Robinson, batting .500 in the series. Had 5 hits and 10 at-bats. Bases loaded again. 1 run in and nobody out in the top of the first. 1 ball, no strikes. High fly into shallow center. Oliver coming up. Tagging at third is Belanger. And he's going to try to come in under a strong throw, and he's in there, and everybody moves up a notch. So Robinson makes it 2-0 on a long fly to center. Belanger scores the second run. Give Brooks Robinson a run batted in. Move Rettenmund over to third after the catch, and Robinson up to second base. And now the only left-hand batter in the Baltimore lineup stands in Boog Powell.
He's been playing this series with a hand and a half. He's not cutting the way he normally does. He has some torn tissue in the back of his right hand that is plaguing his swing.
Powell batting only at .083. Just inside a ball. Orioles leading here 2-0 in the top half of the first inning. A ball. The Pirates are not shifting as much, but now Hernandez has moved in a little bit behind second. He was over on the third base side of second. Now you see the shift there. With a count of 2-0, they've moved a little bit, figuring Powell have a better pitch to pull. That ball's hit very deep into center. Oliver going way back. And he's there, and that'll score another run. And now coming over to third on the play will be Frank Robinson. They make the throw, but he's in there.
Wonder where he'd have hit that one with both hands healthy.
They might have had to flag it down somewhere west of the Alleghenies. And Bill Verdon is coming out.
They didn't like that last blast by Powell. And they're going to get the young right-hander now, Bruce Kison, in.
The Pirates appeared to take the lead in the third inning when Roberto Clemente lined an apparent 2-run homer inches inside the right field foul pole. But it was ruled foul, prompting a lengthy argument. Was it fair or foul? You make the call as we go back to action of Game 4 of the 1971 World Series between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Baltimore Orioles on ESPN Classic.
Bruce Kison, who is about 6'5", he says he weighs 185 pounds. There are those who doubt that. He pinched the final game in the, or not the final game, but the big clinching game out there for a victory against the San Francisco Giants when he came in relief, pitched 4 2/3 innings, allowing only 2 hits, striking out 3. His first outing against Baltimore was indeed a very rough one. He walked a couple of batters at the wrong time for him and the Pirates. The bases were loaded at the time. 21 years of age, born and lives in Pasco, Washington. He was 10-1 for Charleston when the Pirates brought him up, and in the Major League season, 6-5. Watch him throw there. The whiplash throw reminds you a little bit of Ewell Blackwell's delivery.
I was about to say that sidearm stuff can be rough on right-handers.
He goes to Dave Johnson, batting .250 in the series, and here's a bouncer to Hebner at third. On to Robertson, the inning is over. And so at the middle of the first inning, the score is Baltimore 3, the Pirates coming to bat.
1971 World Series between the Pittsburgh Pirates and Baltimore Orioles on ESPN Classic.
So Baltimore jumps on top, and now we'll set the Pirates defensively, or the Baltimore defensively. That's Merv Retman in left field, Paul Blair in center, Frank Robinson in right field. At third base, Brooks Robinson. Shortstop, Mark Belanger. Dave Johnson at second base. Boog Powell at first base. Behind the plate, Andy Etchebarren. And on the mound is Pat Dobson, who won 20 and lost 8. Now, he, like Luke Walker, has not had a lot of work. And his last outing occurred on the 28th of September when he worked 2 innings in relief against Boston. His only relief appearance, by the way, of the year. He goes to Dave Cash, who's had 2 hits and 13 at-bats. Batted .289 on the season. Ball. Dave is a thinking man's hitter. Outfield plays him shallow around to right. Strike, 1-1.
Dobson throws a fastball, a slider, a curveball, and his changeup is a palm ball. He has 4 different pitches.
Ball 1, strike 1. Orioles lead 3-0 as Cash leads off for the Pirates in the first inning. Ball 2. Patrick Edward Dobson, born in Buffalo, New York, now lives in Durham, North Carolina. His 12th professional season began in Detroit, by the way, in the organization there. Ball 3. He, by the way, has allowed no runs in his last 11 innings. 3 balls and a strike. He puts him on. Now Richie Hebner, batting .333 in the World Series, has 1 homer and 3 runs batted in. Came in a losing cause. He can poleaxe a ball, and they play him way around to right. Ball.
He was the first player here at the ballpark tonight. He arrived at 5 o'clock and took special batting practice. Unhappy that he didn't start yesterday, but Pagan, who replaced him, did a good job.
1 ball and no strikes. Now on your split screen, that's Cash at first base. High pop-up in the infield, and shortstop Belanger settling under. 1 out. Here is Pittsburgh hero Roberto Clemente. He has hit safely in 10 World Series games. And he took 11 years to get that string going. 10 in 1960 went for 7 games and 3 thus far here, Kurt.
I think it's great that the fans, not only in this country, around the world, can watch this fella play. Nobody plays the game harder in every department.
Strike. Now, as you see here, with Boog Powell holding to Cash and Johnson playing a little farther to his right, Clemente has a big hole on his favorite side of the diamond, right field. They just continue to pitch him outside, and somehow or other he continues to hit at about a .340 clip. 1-1.
He always looks like he slept in a bad mattress or pillow. He's always cricking that neck around as if he has a bad neck.
Matter of fact, he claims he sleeps with his eyes open. Just says he can't sleep. He can hear the slightest tick, and he's wide awake. 1 ball, 1 strike. There's that palm ball. 1-2. Willie Stargell on deck. Pirate dugout on the first base side. That's a walk-in dugout. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Cash leading off first with Boog Powell holding there. Orioles lead 3-0, 1 out here in the first. Foul back. Took a little off that fastball that time, Kurt. It's pretty tough to fool Clemente on a change, by the way.
And it was a high pitch. The Pirates were 9th in their league in receiving walks. They're a swinging team. They're not looking for walks. They come out of that dugout swinging, and the Baltimore pitching staff was the stingiest in the American League in giving up walks.
Clemente, while he's played way around to right, can poleaxe the ball up the left field side. If he gets his pitch, he can take it down that way in a hurry. 1 ball, 2 strikes. And watching carefully, as you saw, Clemente has a habit of just going right out over the plate with his body and watching it right into the catcher's mitt. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 1 out and 1 on. The Orioles lead 3-0 in the bottom of the first. And that time he picks him up on a strikeout, and that's the 2nd out of the inning. First strikeout of the game.
One World Series between the Pittsburgh Pirates and Baltimore Orioles on ESPN Classic.
Now we see Davy Johnson playing a deep second to him. He's back on the synthetic turf. The outfield around to the right. There you see the infield, the way it is overshifted. And Belanger's not quite behind second, but he's way over. Ball. Stargell has hit quite a few home runs to the opposite field. There is no park that can hold him when he gets his pitch. Turned that one over. 1-1.
Somewhere along the line, Bob, our director, Harry Coyle, might get that 3rd tier, that upper tier in right field where he's hit 2 of the longest shots in the still young history of this park.
A ball and a strike to Stargell. There's a base hit to right center field. It may be in the gap. It is. It's going to go in there, and Cash is fast. He's on his way.
This ball is bobbled in right field by Robinson, but I don't believe it would have made any difference. On the artificial surface, it scoots right through. Frank Robinson couldn't play the carom cleanly. And finally, it's the center fielder, Paul Blair, who picks it up and fires in. But Dave Cash is already into the dugout with a score. The Pirates are on the scoreboard, and Stargell's at second.
And Al Oliver in there as we're back to live action. It's ball 1 to him. He's batting 100 in the series. 3-1 now, Baltimore leading, and this could be a real big scoring ball game. Al will be 25 years old tomorrow. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, as you and I were talking earlier, Kurt, at the head of this broadcast, anything hit on a line in between those outfielders, they don't run to cut it off. They run to just catch up to it. 1 ball, 1 strike. Ball 2.
Stargell, there's Robertson on deck. Stargell now seems to be getting back in the groove again. And if he is, it's going to be a big lift for the Pirates.
There he is out at second base on a double. Fouled away. You know, Kurt, the Pirates all year long have been a great 2-out scoring ball club, and they show some early signs here tonight. They normally get their runs in clusters. They hit a lot of back-to-back home runs. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Ball 3. The Orioles, with Dobson pitching, and perhaps, Kurt, it's because of the slow stuff, have swung their outfield around to the right. Most ball clubs in the National League do not play Oliver to pull this much.
Now they're set over there about 3 or 4 strides to right, center, and right field.
Fouled away.
And look at Powell. He's almost on the first baseline.
That's Stargell. He drove in the Pirates' run. Sizzling double to right center field. 3-2 to Oliver. Foul back. He's hanging tough.
Dobson is pitching him inside, though. The Orioles know that. That's why they're playing Oliver more as a pull hitter.
There you see the manner in which Boog Powell is playing, and Johnson well over to his own left at second base. 2 men are away. It's 3-1. The Orioles have the lead. Foul ball. And that time he hit it right off the end of the back. Just got the lacquer on it. Al Oliver. You see 2 Bills there. They all wear their protective cap on top, and then underneath, of course, their cloth cap. Pirates will keep that protective cap on their heads while always on the base paths. Ball 3 and strike 2 to Oliver. Stargell leading off second base. And a foul ball. Any doubt about this being the largest crowd, and what a thrill it is to join Curt Gowdy and NBC in sending you the first night game in World Series history from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, here on NBC. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Step off the mound by Dobson. Dobson holds the baseball in his glove. Will make his grip now. And it's a bloop. Hit out into shallow center field, and they'll not get it. And it's over the head of Blair. And Oliver will go to second, and it's 3-2.
Now here's a new trend in baseball, the artificial surface. Watch the bounce on this Texas leaguer that drops in. Normally on a grass outfield, that would just dunk there. But look at the high bounce, and Paul Blair, not used to playing on this surface, the ball bounced over his head, and that gives Oliver an extra base. It has scored a double. That's Earl Weaver, who's come on. The Orioles now are getting their bullpen busy, and it's a 3-2 game. The Orioles came up with 3 in the top of the first. The Pirates have come right back with 2. Dave Leonard is the right-hander, and Grant Jackson the left-hander.
And, of course, Kurt, the other advantage the Pirates had there, with 2 out, Stargell could run. With less than 2 out, he would have had to hold up on that one for fear the ball would be catchable. And that is part of the break of the game. And again, the Pirates are showing their 2-out run-scoring ability as Big Bob Robertson. I suppose you know by now he missed the bunt sign yesterday and hit a 3-run homer. Into the dirt, ball 1.
He didn't miss 1 bunt sign, he missed 2. Frank Osiak, the third base coach, gave him 2 bunt signs, and he didn't read either one.
Well, he had a good excuse. He said, "Why would you ever ask me to bunt? I've never bunted in my life." And I was 0 for 9, and I had to get a hold of something. 1 ball, no strikes. Ball 2. Well, if you pitch this fellow, there's Frank Osiak. If you pitch this Robertson away, he'll take you right out to right field. You get him in the wheelhouse, and the fans start to duck in left field. 2 balls and no strikes. And he fouled it at the feet of Etchebarren.
You know, with those 2 runners on, Bob, when he hit the home run, Clemente knew there was something wrong, that Robertson missed a sign, and he was going to call timeout or ask for time. And Monty Urban of the baseball commissioner's offices here back in the 1950s, he was on base, got something in his eye, asked for time. Just as the pitch was released, the umpire at second called timeout, and Whitey Lockman hit a home run that didn't count. And if Clemente had got the time and the pitch had been released, Robertson would have lost the homer yesterday.
2 balls and a strike, and that is Oliver with a double out at second. He wheeled on that one, didn't he? 2-2. Pirates had that happen to them quite a long time ago. Frank Frisch was the manager. Pirates had a shortstop, Frankie Zach. He called time, and Ziggy Sears called it. Nobody heard him, and Jim Russell hit a home run and then struck out. 2-2. Gets slowly off the first base side. Dobson to Boog Powell. But the Buccos come back with 2 runs on 2 hits and leave a runner. And at the end of 1, the score, Baltimore 3 and the Pirates 2.
Series stats for you. Free-swinging catcher Manny Sanguillen hit .379 for the Bucks, who stranded 63 runners in the 7 games. Pittsburgh righty Steve Blass went 2-0 with a microscopic ERA of 1.0. Brooks Robinson, the human vacuum cleaner, topped the O's hitters with a .318 average and 5 RBI, and Dave McNally led the Baltimore staff with a 2-1 record and a 1.98 ERA. Game 4 of the 1971 World Series now continues on ESPN Classic.
On the left of your screen is Billy Hunter, born in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania, known throughout the world as Groundhog City. The senior Baltimore coach, and he's in his 8th year. And on the right, George Stowler, born in Rutherford Heights, Pennsylvania, now lives in Harrisburg, the Commonwealth capital, managed in the minors for 14 years. And I think that pitching coach George Bamberger must be looking in, Kurt. A longtime friend of yours and a great coach for the Baltimore Orioles.
That's right. He suffered a heart attack. He's in a Baltimore hospital, recovering nicely, they say, and watching the World Series game tonight. So the Orioles are in the World Series without their pitching coach, who helped develop that staff of 4 20-game winners, the first staff in the majors to have 4 20-game winners since the White Sox of 1921.
And Kurt, in your Game of the Week coverage, did not Bamberger predict that Baltimore would have 4 20-game winners?
He predicted it early in the season, in April. Right on the nose, he called it.
Here's Andy Etchebarren in his first appearance in the World Series of 1971. Batted .270, 9 homers, 29 runs batted in. The pitcher is Bruce Kieson in relief of Luke Walker. A ball. Walker's log in 2/3 of an inning, 3 runs, 3 hits, no strikeouts, and 1 walk. This young man determines that he'll be married on the 17th of October, and he'd like to be late for his wedding. Bouncer down to Cash. See how fast that ball got out there? On to Robertson, 1 out. Kurt was talking about it, I'm sure, over in Baltimore. Young Bruce Kieson and his bride-to-be announced their wedding plans as the 17th of October and found out about a week later that Game 7, if it goes that far, will be in Baltimore. And Buccos would like to make it go 7 and let Kieson worry about the wedding later. This is Pat Dobson, batted .110 on the year. Ball right on the corner. Now, Kieson has a good riding fastball and a wicked sinker, and a ball that runs in many times on right-hand batters. Strike 2. Last year in the International League, he hit 28 batters.
Wonder how it feels to be 21 pitching in the first night game of World Series history.
A ball. Well, I'll tell you one thing. I think he might have been nervous in Baltimore. That perhaps now has disappeared. 1 ball, 2 strikes, 1 out. Baltimore leading 3-2 in the top of the 2nd. Fouled away. There was that sinking pitch. There's Danny Murtaugh from Chester, Pennsylvania. Banjo Eyes, we call him. He won the World Series in 1960 with the Buccos, and here 11 years later trying for another.
Always excited.
Yeah, he really jumps around, doesn't he? 1 ball, 2 strikes. Good night. Kieson has his first strikeout. And there are 2 away in the Baltimore second inning. There is Earl Weaver. And you can't say too much about him, Curt Gowdy, a magnificent manager with a fantastic managing record.
He's taken the Orioles 3 years in a row to at least 100 wins and still hasn't won the Manager of the Year award in the American League.
Paul Blair, who singled in the first inning and scored. Ball 1 to him. Had 10 home runs on the regular season. Fouled away. Paul Blair, not Brooks Robinson, was the leading hitter in the 1970 World Series with a .474 average. Time has been called, and that was called by Blair. Strike 2. Look at that baby face, Curt. 21 years of age. 2-2.
He's even shaken off the signs tonight.
You ask him if he weighs 185 pounds, and he'll challenge you. He looks like a stick, doesn't he? He said he built that body without lifting a weight. Ball 2, strike 2. Little bloop off the end of the bat might drop. It will. Watch Clemente now get tripped by it also. And throw back into second, and Blair has his 3rd hit in as many at-bats in the World Series. Hit it right off the end of the bat and blooped it in there. And Clemente that time obviously was fooled.
I think Clemente had ideas of making a diving shoestring grab for this, and then at the last 2 or 3 feet had to give up. The ball bounced over his head. That's the second one on the artificial turf that has bounced over a charging outfielder, and it's a double for Paul Blair.
Been some peculiar base hits thus far. The Orioles have had 2 infield singles and a bloop double, and the Pirates have had a bloop double. Mark Belanger, who picked up an infield single in the first inning. Orioles lead 3-2 here in the second inning. 2 out. No balls and a strike. Strike 2. Boy, he's not only sneaky fast, Curt, he is quick.
Yes, and coming in from third base, these right-handers give on him.
Belanger chokes on that bat about 3 or 4 inches. You can see the end of the bat handle hanging down there. Popped him up. Bobby Robertson at first wants it. That'll stow the Orioles away. No runs, 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left. And we go now to the bottom of the second inning, and the score, Baltimore 3 and the Pirates 2.
Do you ever feel nervous about foot odor and wetness? Get Odor Eaters Foot Powder and kick the problem.
Now put Odor Eaters and get foot odor and wetness out.
Odor Eaters Powder gives protection on demand. Even kicks out heavy-duty odor and sweat. With Odor Eaters Powder, you feel confident down to your toes.
Now put Odor Eaters and get foot odor and wetness out.
I was a quiet kid, nobody paid attention to me. At school, cuz not even the word was mentioned to me. That had to change. So I started acting a fool, and all of a sudden I'm the man, all of a sudden I'm cool. Attention was rude. Now it's with the women I flirt, but while I'm climbing with these girls, I ain't doing my work. It's me that I hurt. Though I got the attention I craved that next year when school started, I was stuck in that grade, and mom's mad now. Oh yeah, she ready to burst. I know now, dog, that was a turn for the worst.
We compared the common American alligator with the John Deere Gator utility vehicle. Get the results in this free video report. We tested off-road handling.
At third, Johnstown, Pennsylvania, Don Leppert at first base. This telecast is presented by the authority of Major League Baseball and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, or accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Commissioner of Baseball is prohibited. That beep beep you hear in the background is for Manny Sanguillen. He's known as the Roadrunner here, batting at .319 on the season. Jammed on the pitch down to Brooks Robinson. Boog Powell and 1 out. Striding in now in your picture is Jackie Hernandez, obtained from Kansas City in an off-season trade with pitcher Bob Johnson, in which the Pirates sent Freddie Patek, Jerry May, and Bruce Dow Kenton there. Hernandez was not to have started tonight, but Gene Alley came up with an ailing knee. Strike. Baltimore leads 3-2, 1 out, none on in the bottom of the second inning. This broadcast coming to you, first night game in the history of the World Series and being seen all over the world here on NBC. In Taiwan, Canada, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, Colombia, Bermuda, Virgin Islands, Dominican Republic, Hawaii, Alaska, Mexico, and of course our U.S. bases in Germany, Korea, Manila, and Panama. 1 ball, 1 strike.
Hernandez had ideas of bunting down the third base when he's going against the best in the game at charging the bunt, and making that off-balance throw to first in Brooks Robinson.
On the corner, a ball and 2 strikes. There you see the Pirate bench, and that's Billy Burden there, and getting ready to bat, of course, Bruce Kison. Two. We pause briefly for station identification. This is the NBC Television Network. Ball 2, strike 2. Pulled slowly to third, foul. There's Brooks Robinson, than whom there is no Hoomer. A tremendous third baseman for the Baltimore Orioles.
He was a little irritated tonight. They had some write-ups in the Pittsburgh papers that Robinson wasn't going as well to his right as he did last year. A couple of shots were hit by him yesterday. He said those balls were by me. I didn't have a chance for them. I dived, but they were gone.
Yes, they certainly were. Somebody apparently alluded to the fact he'd been on the banquet circuit a little too much. Ball 2, strike 2. And there's a drive toward left center and right at Paul Blair.
Fans tonight are watching probably the best defensive center fielder in baseball, Paul Blair.
World Series titles in 5 years, Joe Torre's established himself as one of the premier managers in the game. However, Torre was a wonderful player as well, and 1971 might have been his finest season. As a St. Louis Cardinal, Torre was named the 1971 NL MVP, leading the league in batting average, hits, RBIs, and total bases. We now return to Game 4 of the 1971 World Series between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Baltimore Orioles on ESPN Classic.
Now let's return to Game 4 of the 1971 World Series in the top of the 3rd inning, where the Orioles are at bat with 1 ball and 1 strike.
Watch Sanguillen behind the plate right now. Very low crouch, presents an excellent target. Fouled away.
Every manager wants his pitching staff to pitch low. They love a catcher who gets down like Sanguillen and makes them pitch low and can handle low pitches. They look for this in a catcher.
And the way he crouches there, you'd think that would foreshorten his hamstring muscles and make him a slow runner. He's anything but that, Kurt.
The fastest running catcher in the game.
1 ball, 1 strike. Strike 2.
This kid looks good.
Yes, he does. Looks like he'd like to pitch well enough to miss the wedding if necessary Sunday next. He didn't want to hit that one, and Keeson feels his position. To Robertson, the inning is over. So it's 3 up and 3 down for the Baltimore Orioles, and we go to the bottom of the third, and they lead the Pirates by the score of 3-2.
In 1971 World Series between the Pittsburgh Pirates and Baltimore Orioles on ESPN Classic.
Here is part of the interior of this beautiful Three River Stadium, going down the right field side. It is 340 down both lines, 385 left center, right center, 410 straight away. There is an inner wall that is about 15 feet short of the back wall. And as you can see, this place is packed. Dave Cash, he walked in the first inning and scored a run. Ball. Notice how far in front of the plate when we get the shot of Dave Cash. He is right up on top of it. Ball 2. There it is again. A good foot in front of the plate. World Series tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and the pregame report followed by the game at 12:45 right here from Pittsburgh on NBC. Ball 3. Three and 2. Little difference of opinion there between Eddie Vargo and the batter Dave Cash. Bounce down to the shortstop Belanger. Boog Powell, and one away in the Pirate third. Baltimore 3 and the Pirates 2. Here's Richie Hebner. He popped up to short in the first inning. You'll see that his right hand is right over the plate. You would think you could jam him. A base hit to right center. So Hebner gets the third hit off Dobson. And with Baltimore leading 3-2, the roar is for Roberto Clemente.
Bob, you mentioned Clemente has hit safely in all 10 of his World Series games. Hank Bauer of the Yankees holds the record for consecutive hitting streak in the World Series. Hank hit safely 17 World Series games in a row.
The outfield around to the right on Clemente. The gap is still off the first base side now with Powell holding to Hebner. Long drive to right field, slicing, and it's a foul ball.
And Clemente is going down to argue with the right field umpire, John Rice. And there goes the first base coach, Don Leppert. They thought that ball hit the foul pole for a home run. That's Leppert, the first base umpire, arguing with Rice. Clemente, when he crossed first base, ran down the line, and he's standing arms akimbo looking down. Just foul, said the right field umpire, John Rice. Clemente's been hitting those drives to deep right field all during the series. Watch this now. Here's our rerun. Drives it deep. The ball starts to slice. I don't know. What do you think, Bob?
Well, I don't know. I'd like to look at it again, but the way the ball bounced, it bounced to the left as though it hit the pole. The thing is, the ball hit something out there, and it's an unusual thing. Kurt, if the ball is slicing and is fouled, you'd think it would go to the right. It bounced back in. You'd have to look at it again one more time, but that ball bounced. Look at it, and it comes back out in fair territory. That's a tough call. I'll tell you another thing, Kurt. Our bullpen is absolutely berserk out there. They couldn't believe it. There is that foul pole out there. It is not painted on the wall. That's an iron pipe. There you see it. And look at our bullpen. And the ball then bounced back in fair territory rather than off to the right into the Pirate bullpen.
I don't think we can really call it on that rerun.
I don't think so either, Kurt. It was close as fuzz on a tick's ear, though, I'll tell you that.
The Pirates, of course, are going to lose the argument. And when this is all over, it's just a foul strike. Off the bat of Roberto Clemente. Pittsburgh's unhappy. They thought that was a 2-run homer. There's Danny Murtaugh. He nearly swallowed that chaw of baccy on that one. And now a fan has jumped out of the stands. An irate fan is being escorted back in. He's mad. That's Hebner at first. And Clemente had gone to the bat on deck circle to get his bat. A crowd on his feet, still unhappy at the right field umpire, John Rice. He had a very difficult call to make on that drive down the right field line.
In his defense, too, Kurt, on a ball hit like that, as far down the line as he is, he has to turn very quickly, and he doesn't get the chance to really get a good beat on it. Well, it's still 3-2 Baltimore with Hebner at first base. No balls and 1 strike, and we've had our first real serious rhubarb. And there's a base hit to right. And Hebner will go to second and hold. And here's Stargell.
And Clemente continues to play brilliantly in every department in this series. Here's Earl Weaver. Here's Clemente again. He's just come up with his 6th hit of the series. Look at him cock that leg. Reaching it outside pitch and stroking it to right field. 5 of his 6 hits have been to right field.
Hit. During the 1971 season, Phillies righty Rick Wise did it all against the Cincinnati Reds. Not only did Wise toss a no-hitter against the Reds, but he also hit 2 homers. Now let's turn the lights back on at Game 4 of the 1971 World Series between the Pirates and the Orioles.
Oliver sent the next runner home with his 2nd run-producing hit of the game to tie the score at 3 in the bottom of the 3rd. Pirates pitcher Bruce Kison was throwing heat, striking out several batters, but also set a single-game World Series record by hitting 3 batters. In the bottom of the 7th, Orioles pitcher Eddie Watt entered the game with the score still tied at 3. Robertson reached first base safely on Watt's first pitch, and Sanguillen moved him along with a single. Pinch hitter Vic Davilo's lazy fly was dropped by Blair, advancing Robertson to 3rd, but Sanguillen was caught in a pickle for out number 2. When we return, we'll head to the bottom of the 7th as Milt May comes in to pinch hit.
1971 World Series between the Pittsburgh Pirates and Baltimore Orioles on ESPN Classic.
Blair's charged with an error, but he really made a recovery to get that ball back in the infield to the relay man, Belanger, who sized up the situation and flipped to Dave Johnson, who tagged Sanguillen. Sanguillen twice now has been cut down between 2nd and 3rd. Bob Robertson wound up at 3rd. Milt May now, a young left-handed hitting catcher, is going to bat for Bruce Kison. And on first is Davalillo. The Orioles have just made their 8th error in the series.
Boy, the Pirates certainly have had all kinds of scoring opportunities, and it's not just this game tonight, Kurt. It's been every game they've been in.
Milt May hit .278 this year, 6 homers, 25 runs batted in. He's only 21 years old, a brilliant prospect for the future for the Pirates. Ball 1. He would be playing regular on most clubs. What are they going to do with him, Bob? Are they going to make Sanguillen into an outfielder?
They've been talking about it, but then they tried him in the winter ball. He ran into a fence and got hit with a line drive. They don't want to try that anymore.
There's a drive into right center. It's a base hit, and the Pirates take the lead. Coming in to score is Robertson. May singles to right center. Davalillo goes to third. And the Pirates, for the first time, are in the lead in this game. Well, they finally got the timely hit. And now Gene Alley goes in to run for Milt May at first base. May gets a big hand as he trots into the Pirate dugout. He came through.
That move right there, too, Kurt, will freeze Alley in the number 9 spot in the batting order and allow Murtaugh to put his new pitcher, who will be Dave Justy, to come into the ball game and hit a little higher up in the order.
Well, the two heroes right now, 21-year-old Bruce Kieson, who pitched a brilliant relief job tonight, and now Milt May, who's delivered the go-ahead single. 4-3 Pittsburgh. 2 down, and Dave Cash up with runners on first and third. Eddie Watts low with it for a ball. At third is Davalillo. Gene Alley at first. The Pirates have had 13 hits. The Orioles have had 4 hits. Ball 2, 2-0. The 2-0 pitch, a strike with a fastball, 2-1.
He had to select a game, Kurt Gowdy, to send all over the world for the first night telecast in the history of the World Series. I don't know how you could select a better one.
That's right. That everything. There's a drive into right field that Robinson moves back for. And that's all, but the Pirates took the lead in their lucky 7th. They had 1 run, 3 hits, 1 error, and 2 left by Pittsburgh. At the end of 7, it's Pittsburgh 4, Baltimore 3.
Callahan and his .45 Magnum hit the silver screen, and who could forget the immortal line uttered by Clint Eastwood? You're going to ask yourself one question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk? Always wanted to do that. Another cop debuted that year in the theaters. His name was Shaft, and he was a bad mother. Well, you know the rest. Isaac Hayes wrote the cool theme song, and Richard Roundtree was John Shaft.
Dave Justy now is on, trying to protect the Pirate lead. The pitcher of record, though, for Pittsburgh is Bruce Kieson. And the 21-year-old pitcher went 6 in the 3rd innings in relief, allowed only 1 hit, no runs, didn't walk a man, struck out 3, set a new World Series record by hitting 3 batters. He's the winner if the Pirates hold the lead. What about Dave Justy, Bob?
Well, he was 5-6 on the year, but that doesn't really tell the story. He had 30 saves. He was the saving pitcher in the clincher for the Eastern Division title against the Cardinals. He was the saver in the clincher for the National League Championship. And against the San Francisco Giants, he appeared in all 4 games.
Gene Alley has gone to shortstop for Pittsburgh, replacing Jackie Hernandez. Mark Belanger leading off as an infield hit in 3 times. A ball to him. We're in the 8th inning. That's Alley. Justy has a fastball, breaking pitch, and a palm ball. Strike, 1-1. Throws that ball back out of the palm of his hand, uses that as his changeup. The Orioles have not had a hit in the last 5 innings. They had 3 runs and 3 hits in the first inning. They had a bloop double in the second inning, and they were stopped cold by Bruce Kison. The 1-1 pitch. Just outside. 2-1. Dave Justy led the National League in saves this year with 30. He pitched 1 scoreless inning in the second game of this series. 30 years old. 2-1 delivery. 3-1 to Belanger. Pitch to Belanger. Right in there to him. 3-2. Notice he's up on that bat handle a couple of inches. He's out. 1 away in the 8th. And there's the... We told you tonight would be the largest crowd in the history of Pittsburgh baseball, and it was. 51,378. Standing room only tonight here in Pittsburgh. And the lights on in the Golden Triangle for only the 4th time in the city's history, except for the Christmas celebrations, in honor of the first World Series game at night. Ball 1. The city of Pittsburgh downtown is aglow tonight. There'll be further aglow if the Pirates win this one. I'll go from a light on to a glow on. The 1-0 pitch. Fastball for a strike. 1-1.
Dave Justy attended Syracuse University, where he's an outstanding athlete and was a phys ed major there. He met his wife Jenny at Syracuse University, and she majored in psychology, if that tells you anything.
A 1-1 pitch. Ground ball drilled to Cash at second. Over to Bob Robertson, 2 down. Frank Robinson been walked intentionally, struck out, and been hit by a pitch ball. 0 for 1. 4-3 Pittsburgh. 4 runs, 13 hits for Pittsburgh. 3 runs, 4 hits for Baltimore. The 8th inning, the Orioles have 2 down, nobody on. They're deep and way around toward left for Frank. A ball to him. Ball 2. Bob Prince broke in with a great broadcaster in this town, a beloved figure, and it would be remiss if we didn't mention his name in a Pittsburgh World Series. Rosie Rosewell. We would call that pitch the old Dipsy Doodle.
He surely would have.
A pop up to the right side by Frank Robinson. Cash says, get out of my way. I got it. 3 up and 3 down for Baltimore. And we're going to the last of the 8th inning as this Pittsburgh crowd goes wild with a score. Pittsburgh 4, Baltimore 3.
Of the 1971 World Series between the Pittsburgh Pirates and Baltimore Orioles on ESPN Classic.
1971 football highlights. There they are. We're doing the NFL during the regular season, the postseason, the Gator Bowl, Rose Bowl, Orange Bowl, and Senior Bowl, all on NBC. Richie Hebner up in the last of the 8th inning. And he is not hit. A ball to Hebner. Popped the short. He singled in the 3rd. He struck out. He lined out. Brooks Robinson making a great play on a low line drive in the 6th. 1 out of 4 for him. Clemente will follow. Foul back. Eddie Watt pitched the 7th and was stung for a run and 3 hits. 2 balls and a strike to Hebner. There's a long drive and a deep ride, backing up. Robinson on the warning track, right on the edge of it for the out. 1 down. Clemente has struck out, single to right, single to center, and walked. 2 for 3. I'll swear he's going to twist that neck off sometime, Bob.
Yes, and he's only started to do that in the last month or so. Jesus Alou, you'll recall, has that. He has a nerve affliction, and Bobby just does that. Well, you talked yesterday about his 12 pressure points. He's a real student of anatomy, and particularly his own.
4-3. Pittsburgh ahead in the last of the 8th. The Pirates went ahead in the last of the 7th. 1 out, nobody on. A strike to Clemente. The Orioles got 3 runs in the first. The Pirates bounced back with 2. The Pirates tied it in the 3rd. And then went ahead in the 7th. Clemente played well over to right again. Powell guarding the first base line. A bounding ball. A long throw here by Belanger, off balance. And not in time. Clemente beats it out.
21-year-old rookie catcher Milt Mays' tie-breaking single turned out to be the winning run of the game. In the top of the 9th, the Pirates called on closer Dave Justy for the save, and he pulled it off, as evidenced by the reaction of Powell after the pop fly that ended the game. With victory in Game 4, Pittsburgh celebrated their 2nd win, and the Orioles and the Pirates were now tied at 2 wins each in the 1971 World Series.
The Pittsburgh Pirates used the Game 4 momentum to fuel them the rest of the series. Nellie Briles threw a 2-hitter to win Game 5 for a 3-2 Pirate series lead, but the Orioles came back to win Game 6 in 10 innings to force a decisive 7th game. Steve Blass threw a complete Game 4 hitter, and Roberto Clemente, the series MVP, homered to lead the Pirates to their 4th World Series championship. I'm Bob Stevens. We hope you enjoyed tonight's presentation of Game 4 of the 1971 World Series between the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Baltimore Orioles. Thanks for watching.